Hello everyone, this is Aaron, and I am here to answer a simple question. Why is Vagrus the Riven Realms? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. What have we got here? A game with a tutorial that could have been its own game? Well, this seems like just the thing for me. I hope you like reading, because we're going to be reading today. Vagrus is a game about a world that was so awful that even the gods did not like it. Seriously, what happened is apparently a whole bunch of people made an empire, kind of like Rome, but kind of not. And the gods were sick and tired of all the nonsense, and so they just destroyed it. They laid waste to it, and then they looked around and they were like, well, I've made a mistake. And then they peaced out, just straight up left. So since this is a book, a game, whenever you start it up, what you get is an old man sitting in camp. And you get to either A, listen to his nonsense stories, or you can actually just play the game. Well, the problem is that if you just play the game, you ain't going to know how to play the game. The tutorial, Pilgrims of the Wasteland, is actually just that, a tutorial. But it's so long and complex, it could have been the game in and of itself. It's incredible. I've been playing this tutorial for like 4 hours, and I'm nowhere in it. But honestly, that's not even the issue. The real issue is the fact that this game hates you. Oh yes, I said it. I said this game hates you. You wanna know why this game hates you? This game hates you because even in the tutorial, it does not hold your hand. Oh no, tutorials are supposed to teach you how to play the game, not in Vagrus. In Vagrus, it teaches you exactly how much trouble you're gonna have within the campaign. And it does this amazing job of getting you ready for that pain because of it. Wait a minute, that doesn't go along with the narrative. Hold on, let me rewind that. So what it actually does is you get in and you play a struggling caravan. They are on their last limb, they're out of money, they're starting to not like the leader. That leads you into the actual gameplay. So within Vagrus, what you're going to do both within the tutorial and the campaign is you're going to manage your caravan. You're going to be traveling around, taking people places, running into trouble. You're going to be buying supplies, selling supplies. You're going to be riding your giant lizards because that's actually like a lot cooler than a horse. But that's not what we're talking about right now. So you're going to be doing all these things traveling around. You're going to have random encounters. And you're going to have to make successful attempts, what one could call skill checks against these encounters at times, just to see if you pass them, if you fail them. If you fail them, things get really bad. If you succeed in them, things are a little bit less bad. You know, this kind of makes me think of Dungeons and Dragons. Now, why would this game give me Dungeons and Dragons vibes? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, it only has an extreme narrative, largely developed world, characters that are well lived in and have stories and personalities and connections amongst each other that don't involve you, that you don't develop. It also has random encounters and skill-based checks to see how well you do in it. The combat is turn-based, and you get to use what amounts to either attacks, feats. Oh my god. This game is Dungeons and Dragons. Hold on. Cut the music. I can't do this. I can't do it like this. Normally in these live videos, what I do is I point out all the awful things about these games. And I explain why. Like, why is it like this? But I can't do it. Not with Vagrus. Not with this game. Because all these things that I'm supposed to be making fun of, I'm supposed to be pointing out as awful, they're not. I can't even act like they're not. Here's the simple fact. Vagrus is a game that is going to be for a niche audience. That is true. But that niche audience, that group of people, those are some of the most diehard people you can find. And do you want to know why? It's because those are the people who used to play Dungeons and Dragons. Those are the people who used to play Vampire the Masquerade. These are the kinds of people who dedicated hours upon hours every week when they could with their friends, telling stories, living these lives. Vagrus is a game that was designed from the ground up for people who liked role-playing, who liked the idea of learning about a world and having it be complete and whole in every single way, and uncovering these histories and creatures and stories, all of it based off of their own intuitiveness and their own luck. Vagrus is not a game for the mass audience. And that right there, that is actually one of its greatest strengths. Because those large games, those are designed to sell copies. They are designed for the idea of just getting as many people as possible to play them. And while there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, it ends up making the games empty. And if they're not empty, then the choices that they supposedly give you are empty for sure. I mean, when you think about it, in most games that are about choice and the consequences of your choice, what do you really get? You get to pick. You pick between Paragon or Renegade. And what does that actually get you? It gets you a slightly different dialogue, nothing else. There's no difference to it. Even games that are super well developed and have these giant stories in them, along the lines of like the Witcher games, even then, the story is the story, and your actions don't change it. Not truly. Vagrus, on the other hand, it is exactly like a tabletop RPG, in that your choices will matter. And not just your big ones. We're not talking about your choice over whether or not you spare the big bad guy or not. We're talking about every choice. Do you stop in this town or do you push ahead? Do you buy supplies? Do you buy new fighters or new guard dogs? Do you buy new equipment? Do you not buy any of that stuff? Do you attack the camp that you see on the other side of the hill? Do you try to avoid it? Do you agree to someone's plans? Do you disagree with them? Every choice, every last choice in this game, it matters, because this is a world that is designed to be harsh. This is a world that turned so bad that even its gods abandoned it. And when you have a world like that, nothing is easy. And because of that, your choices will matter. All of them. I've played probably about 4 hours of the tutorial while I am talking about this game right now. And within those 4 hours, even within a tutorial, my choices have led to my death. And not just my death in combat. It's not like I rushed into a situation that I wasn't supposed to be in. I simply ran out of supplies. I didn't pay my fighters, and they got tired of me and kicked me out. Because I made the choice to push ahead, to push them harder to rush to a spot, or because I decided that I was okay on my supplies and I would just forage as we went along. This is the kind of thing that people who like tabletop RPGs, they are the ones who love this. Because in a tabletop RPG, when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons and you have a good party and you have a good DM, every choice you make can be suspect. Every choice you make could change the story drastically. Anyone who listens to this, if you have played Dungeons and Dragons, you know exactly what I'm talking about, especially if you were the dungeon master. How often did you have things planned out, and all of a sudden your party just does something and derails everything? And so you do the only thing you can. You wing it. You alter things. You go by the seat of your pants and you fix it and make it work. And then all of a sudden you're in some giant other situation that none of you planned for, and things are just popping off left and right. That's the kind of feel that Vagrus gets you. And even though some would try and claim that the game is just a reading simulator or some such nonsense, the fact of the matter is that by reading all of this stuff, by having to investigate it yourself, by having to make these decisions, all of them independently, you get sucked in, you are drawn in, and you have to press on. I said this in my last video, and I've said this in other places. I am not typically the one who likes the hard games. I like my games to be challenging, sure, but I don't like games that are hard for the sake of hard. Vagrus is a hard game. Your decisions are going to get you killed a lot, and yet it's not aggravating, not truly. And it's because it is just like those D&D days. Now, like I said already, if you are one of the masses out there, then Vagrus might not appeal to you. You may not want to read so much. You may want something a little bit more action. You may be able to want to control your combat more directly. But if you're one of those people who played Dungeons and Dragons or any other tabletop RPG, Vagrus is something that needs to be on your radar. Because if you're like me and the freedom of your early 20s has passed you by and you no longer have the time or the chance to get together with the old crew and throw a campaign together, but you do have time to play video games, Vagrus will give you that feeling. It will give you that experience where your choices truly matter. Now, sure, I could go into great detail about the actual gameplay, but me answering why a game is, it's not about a review of the gameplay. It's not a review of the story or telling you what makes it fun to play or why you should play it. No. I am here to ask the question, why is Vagrus? And the answer to that question is simply that Vagrus is a game that is meant for the people who like tabletop RPGs, that want to have every little decision they make matter in some way or another. It is a game for the people who they don't care about being the hero necessarily. What they care about is seeing this world, living this other life, seeing these characters, caring for them, trying to keep them alive, and just simply living this other world. That is what Vagrus is about. You're not the hero. You're not going to save the world. You're not going to drive off the ancient darkness. You're simply going to live. And that is an itch that rarely gets scratched. And it's the reason why, even though I haven't completed the tutorial as of yet, even though I haven't quote unquote beat the game, it is the reason why Vagrus is high on my list of games. Because it scratched an itch I didn't even know I had. It called back my tabletop days, and it gave me that feeling that I used to get of looking at the battle grid, trying to decide what I should do, and hoping beyond hope that the dice would be on my side this time. Tried a little bit different format on this video for you guys. I just couldn't dive into the abuse towards the game like I did on the last one. But we can still do our interesting fact. Interesting fact here, Lost Pilgrims, the indie game development studio behind Vagrus. There are only 6 people who are at the core of it. 6 people worked together to create this game, which is just incredible to think of, because I don't think I could create a game ever. And it's also further proof that while indie studios can sometimes go one of two ways, the greatest strength of them is that they're not after the millions and millions. They're not after that at all. They are after the art, the story. And because of that level of focus, you get something much more niche, which I guess you could call a downside, but in my opinion, it makes it better because that means it is purpose-built for what it does. Anyways, guys, if you have any comments that you would like to share with me, I'm pretty sure you know where to put those. And if you would like to discuss anything else, make sure you hit up our Discord and get in touch with us. We always love to hear from new people and to share experiences with games. And as always, though, behave yourselves and go play some games.